Great. So the next session that we're going to roll into is we're going to talk about for the next session cash pay services and partners. So actually, I'll wait till everybody's on before I start introducing you. First up is I'll just start with you, Garrett, because your video's on first. Garrett Saltpeter, NeuFit, and you have the Newbie, mainly treating neurological, neuromuscular disorders. Garrett, would love if you could introduce yourself to everybody here.
Yes, thank you, Chad. Hi, everybody. I'm Garrett Saltpeter, founder of NeuFit, and I am the engineering and neuroscience guy behind the Newbie device. And so we have a team of clinicians and work with several hundred clinics around the country, as well as dozens of professional sports teams, including the 2 World Series finalists, and a lot of everyone from big name athletes to neuropathy, MS, spinal cord injury, and stroke patients, because the common thread, whether you're recovering from injury, one of those neurological injuries or conditions, or trying to optimize health and performance, the common thread throughout all of that is the nervous system.
Love it. Doug Adams, also here with Run DNA. Doug, please introduce yourself to everybody here.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, thanks for having me, Chad, and Breakthrough and the whole group. Honored to be part of this, and especially helping like-minded. I'm a fellow clinician, own 2 clinic locations myself, and just a giant running and walking nerd. So I love to talk about all things gait, and we really started actually as an education company and teaching people how to get great results with runners and walkers, and then develop technology for the people that really want to build a business around it. And it's been a lot of fun, and we've learned a lot. And I, particularly for this session, have a lot to share about what our top customers are doing and how they've really gotten their return on investment and generated revenue using it, and some of the commonalities that really are the secrets to what it takes to get a good return from cash-based services. So excited to be here, and thanks for having me.
You set me up great there, Doug.
Yeah.
So for the other thing that I want everybody to realize is you both own practices as well. So not only are you helping other owners sell cash services, you are doing this. So you're not giving us theory. This is what not only you do in your own clinics, but then you help other owners do that as well. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
Yes,
right.
Correct.
Great. So Garrett, we'll start with you. You have a clinic, you help other owners do this. What does the cash pay function look like for the Newbie, the NeuFit device? How are owners using this, not only helping patients, but also improving their bottom line?
There's a few ways that it's working well. At one extreme, our practice in Austin is actually 100% cash. And in order to convince someone, or in order to inspire a patient to pay cash, I think the first thing that we have to think about is how important it is that they see value right away, because they are going to be, shopping around, tending towards, inertia is going to carry them towards options where, their insurance is going to pay for most of or all of the rehab that they're doing. And so being able to show someone an experience that they can't get anywhere else, where they have that wow moment where they actually feel better right away, I think is one of the big keys. And so we have, in our practice, all cash. And then there's also, clinics that are using more insurance, and there's opportunities there to, during the plan of care, to add on something like the Newbie as an upcharge. Dan Neff does a really cool strategy where he also does EMG. He sees a lot of neuropathy patients. And so he often has patients with bilateral neuropathy symptoms. And he will actually, during the initial eval, he'll treat with the Newbie one leg of the patient, and then in follow-up ask them how that leg that they treated feels compared to the other one. And so he says something like 95% of the time they say the one that they treated feels better. And so they then pay the $30 or $40 or $50 per session upcharge to add that in to what they're doing in addition to beyond the PT that's covered by insurance. And of course, that's a strategy that you have to make sure works with your compliance people, with your contracts, et cetera. But that's That's one strategy that's really good during the plan of care, is that sort of upcharge. And then there's also opportunities for maintenance and fitness sessions after a plan of care is complete, or whole packages like neuropathy, because there's Medicare guidelines that say that for conditions like neuropathy, anything in the electrical stimulation realm is considered investigational, not medically necessary. So there's opportunities to do entire packages. You can do a $2,000 package for neuropathy treatments and use the Newbie, and there's a little bit of PT time, but it can often be performed by a tech or an aide or someone there, because the treatments for there, we do this water immersion foot bath where it takes a few minutes to set up, and is not very involved clinically. So there's different continuums of things that are more hands-on versus less, and that's one there. So there's a few ideas. Those seem to be the ones that are working best at the moment.
Yeah, great. So can you give a range, Garrett, of what you're doing in your own practice, or what you see your best users like a Dan Neff, what they're generating per hour in revenue with a Newbie, a NeuFit device?
Yeah. So at our clinic, we're looking at doing about $150 an hour, all cash. And that's a blend of physical therapy and some fitness maintenance, stuff like that. And then for clinics like Dan Neff and others where they're doing the upcharge, the idea is that they're getting, if you look at revenue per visit, they're getting whatever they would be getting from insurance normally. So that could be, in some places it's 75, in some places it's 120, right? Depends where you are geographically. And then an extra $30 to $50 on top of that for the Newbie. So that increases the revenue. And if you have 2 patients an hour or 3 or 4 patients an hour doing that, it could be 30 times 4. It could be an extra 120 an hour.
Great. Doug, similar question for you. What range of what you see being generated in revenue, and what you're not only doing, because I know your clinic is going to be the top end of the range.
Yeah.
What you see in terms of best practices there.
Yeah, it really depends on the services in the area here, but we have an extensive onboarding process to help you kind of figure out what that looks like for you and what you're most comfortable with. The range is typically you're getting anywhere from $300 to $750 an hour, depending on what you're doing there. And I can't agree more with what Garrett was saying about we should really be focused on value driven. Like what's the value of getting somebody to finish a marathon that thought that they weren't going to be able to, even toe up to the line? Or what's the value of somebody being able to walk that couldn't get off the couch? The value of that is huge. And I think just knowing your offering, I think having some type of introductory offering that's a lower price way to bring them in and realize that there's more needed. Also, as Garrett was saying, you have to demonstrate that value right away. So for gait, it's getting somebody up there that can't run without pain. You put them up there, and in a 15-minute session, you can get them from pain with every step to pain-free and feeling like they could run faster. And that value, by having the lower price, hey, it's $100 for a 15-minute screen. Come on in and let's see if we call it a gait consult. See if your gait, your walking or your running could be contributing to your injury. And then if it is, we know that they're doing it here, but they need additional sessions after. So that's where they'll do additional, okay, it's $200 an hour or so, and we're going to be able to do this. We're going to need 4 to 6 sessions, and here's what that looks like.
Love it. Mark, I wasn't ignoring you. I'm just jealous of how sharp you look.
Oh.
Your blazer on. So, Mark, if you can introduce yourself to everybody here, that would be great.
Yeah, I apologize, crew. I had some technical difficulties, but we're all good. So thanks for having me. Mark Callanan, physical therapist, director of clinical education for Chattanooga. So we've been long-standing partners with Breakthrough, and we specialize in helping provide modalities such as shockwave and laser that are excellent cash generating products, similar to what some of these other great gentlemen, Doug and Garrett, have been talking about today. So we have a place in this conversation as well.
Great. And for all three of you, if you want to throw in a link for everybody, I know somebody requested it, share the manufacturer you are using for the specialty services. So NeuFit link, Run DNA link, Chattanooga link would be awesome. Mark, question for you. I know there's been quite an evolution over the last 8 or 9 years if we go back to 2015, nobody was thinking about adding a cash-based service in private practice. Today, it's not only should we add like that, everybody's saying yes. I'm going to guess 80 to 90% of the market is at least offering one cash-based service in a hybrid type practice, even if they're traditionally insurance-based. Can you talk about what you see the best practices doing in terms of selling more Shockwave, selling more laser, helping more patients with the treatment technology that they have available?
Yeah, I think to back up that comment, I mean, WebPT's State of the Nation report they put out every year, the last one said, I think there's about 45% of clinics are looking to add cash pay to their facilities in the next 2 years. And these types of programs are sort of the top of the pyramid on ways that they can do that. So like you just pointed out, this is no longer kind of should I, it's kind of like, I know I need to, it's just which one's the best fit for my practice. So I think taking a really close look at your patient population, globally, laser is super easy to apply to just about every patient that has pain in your waiting room. So it can be applied to both chronic and acute problems. So it's very easy to integrate. It's one of those things that feels good, takes pain away very quickly. So you're not going to get a lot of people, turning their nose up at it. So it's an easy thing to introduce to plans of care for people that want to, decrease stiffness, soreness, get out of pain so they can start moving better. Shockwave's one of those tools that also helps reduce pain very quickly. It really shines with chronic tendinopathy. So if you're dealing with a lot of runners, say like Doug does, it has a place for plantar fascial problems and tendinosis in the lower extremities, as well as upper extremity problems as well. So racket sports, things like that, people that are dealing with chronic tendinopathy in their elbow or shoulder, it has a great way to turn things around. I'd say one of the best selling points for your patient on the Shockwave front is that research supports that there's going to be meaningful clinical change in pain within about 3 to 4 sessions for most tendinopathies if they use Shockwave. So it's a very concise plan of care. It works really well. They have to introduce it roughly once a week. So even if for those patients that maybe are having trouble getting in your facility, it gives them a really good excuse to come on in. And with a good eccentrics program and loading program, in addition to adding these things, you're going to see results that are really wonderful.
And full transparency for everybody here. I'm a long-term Lightforce laser user. We've added Run DNA to 2, soon to be 3 of our clinics. It's going really well. And I have my order for our second NewFit device. I believe we're putting one in Dolphin, and then the other one is for personal use. So I'm very familiar with all 3, big fan about what this can do, not only, again, for helping patients, but also balancing that with better business math for us. And seeing that, what I think is really important for you to share next is when you're working with an owner who's rolling this out, there's, I'm sure, a bell curve. So you have people that are rolling this out and they are just hitting the ground running. I know, for example, last week we rolled out Run DNA in our Shrewsbury office, and I think they sold $800 sessions in like the first 24 hours. Like, it was absolutely crazy. And then there's another end of the bell curve. So can you talk through like the 1 or 2 biggest challenges that you have as owners are rolling out the new technology and whatever the respective treatment is, and then how you and your team help them overcome that? So Mark, we'll start with you. Biggest barrier, and then.
Yeah, I think having a plan, having a program, not just a device, is real important. So I think that's where, Chattanooga sort of is above most of our competitors, in that we come, with all the information you're going to need, both from a marketing standpoint, as well as from, education of your staff, and giving you materials that you can hand to your patients so they understand how it's going to help them. So you put all those things together, in addition to how to get going right out of the gate, with how to introduce it to the staff, get them trained, as well as how to introduce it to patients. We have all those things figured out. We have, thousands of installations that we've done with these programs. So it's all ironed out. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just pretty much have to follow some trusted advice from us. And, the revenue should start generally on month 1. So I would say whatever program you're going to go with, just make sure that, you have just a bigger playbook that you're going to go by on how you're going to roll it out. It's usually not something that it shows up at your front door and then you plug it in and it's going to start doing its magic. Even with the best of devices, there has to be a program around it to really help it shine. And that's something that will vary from, program to program and device to device. So keep your eyes out for that for sure.
Awesome. Mark, there's a question for you in the web chat. Doug, next up, same question.
Yeah, one thing we've doubled down on is the onboarding for people, because there is a lot of variability, but there are some consistent things, and we've actually been helping to identify even before people bring on our equipment, do they have what it takes, right? And we've figured it really comes down to three things, right? Do you have the skills? Do you have a plan? And do you have the people? So the skills are, obviously you have to deliver a great service, and that's why we started as an education company. We want to make sure people are providing great service. But you also need the sales and marketing skills to be able to convey what you're delivering and why this is bringing value. So you have to have the skills first, then you have to have a plan, right? A couple of weeks ago, I've lost track of time when we were in Colorado there, but everyone was talking about how they've developed all these processes and it's gone well. And during my talk, asked, hey, so who has a process for selling? And it was crickets. And people were not developing that sales process as much too. And that's one thing, whether it's educating your front office staff about how to talk about it, how you're going to market it, how you're going to sell it, how many interactions they have. That's a really important thing to have a plan. And then probably the most important thing is having people. So you need to have a champion, somebody that wants to be known for this. We've turned down companies that have wanted to buy our equipment because they don't have a person that's like, this is what I want to do. I want to be the gate person. Some of Chad's clinics that have done it, they've got great champions that have really just like gone full in and they want to be known for it. And they have done a phenomenal job. And, kudos to the companies that are doing well. They're also giving those champions time to say, hey, I'm not going to expect you to see a full caseload. Like, let's give you 2 or 3 hours a week to develop this and build it, because the hourly rate is 2 or 3x or more what you would be getting if you were just seeing patients. So let's invest in that. So I think it really comes down to having the skills, the plan, and the people. And if you have that, you're going to do really well. And that's what we really help you figure out from what we've learned from our customers along the way.
Sorry for the lighting, by the way. I'm actually stepped out of another conference here. I was with Doug in Denver and we're making the circuit here, but I would echo what Mark said and also what Doug said in terms of the importance of effective onboarding so that you can get the skills and the plan in place. And so, for us, it's certainly about training the staff and making the education as robust as possible. Clinics that acquire a newbie device, for example, their clinicians that are going through our training are able to get CEUs towards license renewal. And we've heard, over and over again that introducing the NewFit method has changed the way people practice, has really gotten them excited about prioritizing the nervous system in what they're doing. And so that the training's been very engaging. And we also have training in there on how to talk to patients, because you don't want to go in with neurophysiology and electrophysiology and all this stuff that isn't going to land with them. So it's, finding ways to talk about that is important. So that's a lot of stuff that we do in our training. And then also echoing Doug's point, finding a way, having a strategy or a plan to sell it. So, like I shared Dan Neff's example of, doing it on one person's leg, or the leg of one person, on one leg of the same person and not on the other, and seeing the difference and having a process for that, or giving them a quick demo and then following up and asking them and just, real simply, hey, would you like to, add this on, do this 10 pack of add-ons during your plan of care, $40 a session, or, just really simple. So sometimes it's having little sheets of paper that they take with them to the front. Sometimes it's part of calling and following up, or, it's just figuring out where to work it into your workflow, I think is the big key. And we certainly have a lot of guidance on that.
Awesome. So Garrett, and then Doug and Mark, what is the best way for, other than your website, is there any place if somebody wants to learn specifically about the treatment technology that you're offering, what's the best way for them to do that?
So you said besides the website, so
Or is it
probably the website, is you can go to new.fit, neu.fit, or newfit.com forwards there. And then I'm also, if anyone's on Instagram, we're active on there. We got a lot of good content. So you can really see it in action from, inside our clinic and footage from inside various clinics, or looking at how pro athletes are using it. There's a lot of good stuff on social media, YouTube also.
Nice. Doug?
Yeah, probably the best way, we do basically a consult with you. So I just put in an email there for sales@rundna.com, and we just have a conversation that's just, tell us about your clinic, tell us about what you're doing. We really don't even talk about the device until we kind of see if this is a good fit for you, because we want you to be really successful with that. So that's a great way. And a lot of people also get exposed to RunDNA through our education. So we have CEU courses that you're able to take and learn a lot more about our systematic approach to working with runners and walkers and looking at that. And then we do have a little contest going on through social media now, where we're giving $350 away in running gear and things like that. So you can check us out on social too, RunDNA System on Instagram, and there's some opportunities there to win some running gear if we've got any runners out there as well. But just have a conversation with us is probably the best way. I would love to learn more about your practice.
Thanks, Doug. Mark?
Yeah, we have a couple tools. I mean, we have the advantage, we're a pretty large company. So we have over 30 reps to put in the chat, that are distributed nationally. So if you go to the Chattanooga Rehab US site, you can request a demo, and basically you can get any of this equipment put in your clinic for a half a day, where you can try it on some different patients, whether it's a laser or shockwave, whatever you're interested in. So that's an advantage we have. If you're looking for past content or general information on what laser is about, like photobiomodulation, if you have no idea what that is, you can go to lightforcemedical.com, and there's, under the resources tab, there's 6 or 7 years worth of webinars we've done on a whole host of different topics and different conditions. So you can find things that are of interest. We've also done some on the whole cash pay concept and how to do that. So we talked to some different clinic owners. So if you want to just sort of get an expansion on some of these concepts we're talking about, be a good place to check it out.
Love it. Before we go here, I just want to share one more thing. Doug, you mentioned the process for selling.
Yes.
After the 4 of us were in Denver and I heard you talk about that, I'm going to just brag about the 3 of you for a second. I've learned to sell cash services through this along the way. And, we're constantly iterating and looking for those best practices. Doug, when you and your group came in, I know you specifically trained our team of 15 clinicians who wanted to learn how to use DNA. And my partner, Mike Gilbert, said that hour should be a must requirement. Like your first hour should be a must requirement for every single licensed clinician in the country who's selling cash pay services. And then I asked you, because we didn't record it, I said, would you be willing to go back and re-record it? So I took the transcript from your Vimeo that you sent me, put it through Claude, and I'm going to share this in the chat right now for everybody. But I had it use your transcript and create a process for selling that you can use with all of your clinicians. So enter. There you go, for everybody. So whether you're, selling Lightforce laser, shockwave, Triton traction, NewFit device, with the Newbie device with NewFit and Garrett, or you're doing RunDNA, ultimately you're going to have to train your team how to do that. There's like 30 people in there already. Okay, great. So feel free to take that, modify it for whatever you see fit for your clinic. But how about some love for Mark, Doug, and Garrett in the chat right now before we roll over to our next session? Thank you.
Chad, does that mean that my pitch wasn't AI worthy? Is that what I'm hearing?
You didn't send me a Vimeo, Mark.
Got it.
Yes. Great. Do you have Jordans on right now, Mark?
No, I have no shoes on, believe it or not, because I'm in my own home office. So this is all a top-up display today. So for everybody's benefit, we won't show the Tootsies today. Yeah.
Thank you guys for being on, and we're going to roll over into our next session here.
Thanks, Chad. Hey, Sean, good to see you.